A Joint Aviation Authority's private pilot's license is issued by the Civil Aviation Authority of the JAA member state. It's valid for a maximum period of 5 years. Either a Class 1 or a Class 2 medical must be held to exercise the privileges of a private pilot's license A. License holders or student pilots must not exercise the privileges of their licenses, related ratings or authorizations at any time when they are aware of any decrease in their medical fitness which might render them unable to safely exercise those privileges, and they must, without undue delay, seek the advice of the Civil Aviation Authority or an authorized medical examiner, an AME. Unless otherwise specified in Joint Aviation Regulations Flight Crew Licensing (JAR FCL), flight time to be credited for a license or rating must have been flown in the same category of aircraft for which the rating is being sought. All qualified pilots and those flying to obtain or renew a license must keep a personal flying logbook. It must contain the following information: the date, the places where the holder embarked and disembarked, and the time spent in flight. The time is normally logged from the first time the aircraft moves on the apron under its own power to the time it comes to rest on the apron at the end of a sortie. This is known as the chock time. The type and registration mark of the aircraft, the capacity in which the holder acted during the flight, details of any special conditions including night flying, instrument flying, and in particular the training exercises specified in the PPL qualifying requirements, particulars of any test or examination taken whilst in flight, particulars of any flight simulator tests. There's no minimum age for receiving dual instruction as a student pilot, but any instructional time before the age of 14 years will not be counted towards license issue. Before flying as pilot in command, acting in accordance with instructions given by a flying instructor, a student must have reached the age of 16 years. The minimum age for issue of a private pilot's license A in the United Kingdom is 17 years. As with a qualified private pilot, the student must be in possession of either a Class 1 or Class 2 medical. Advice must be sought from the Civil Aviation Authority or an authorized medical examiner if the holder becomes aware of a hospital or clinic admission for more than 12 hours, a surgical or invasive procedure, the regular use of medication, the need for regular use of correcting lenses. If the holder becomes aware of any significant personal injury involving incapacity to act as a member of a flight crew, any illness involving incapacity to act as a member of a flight crew throughout a period of 21 days or more, pregnancy, the pilot must inform the Civil Aviation Authority in writing of the injury or pregnancy and, in the case of illness, as soon as the period of 21 days has elapsed. The pilot's medical certificate must be deemed to be suspended upon the occurrence of such injury, or the elapse of such period of illness, or the confirmation of pregnancy. The holder of a JAA private pilot's license A may act as pilot in command or as co-pilot, providing that he had a type or class rating pertinent to the aircraft to be flown, that he holds a valid medical certificate, and he's not flying for remuneration. The holder of a JAA private pilot's license A may carry passengers, but not for remunerations, provided that within the preceding 90 days he has made 3 takeoffs and 3 landings as the sole manipulator of the controls. Ratings for special purposes, for example night flying, IMC flying, aerobatics, towing and dropping of parachutes, may be established by the Civil Aviation Authority. The use of a special rating in another member state's airspace requires the prior agreement of the state or states to be visited. Flight time to be credited must have been flown on an aircraft of the same type or class for which the license is being sought. An applicant will be credited in full with all solo, student pilot in command, and dual instruction time required for the license or rating. Half of any co-pilot time accumulated may be counted. An applicant for a private pilot's license must have completed a minimum of 25 hours dual instruction and at least 10 hours of supervised solo flying. This must include at least 5 hours of solo cross-country flying. The cross-country flying must contain at least one cross-country flight of at least 150 nautical miles, 270 kilometers, during which a full-stop landing at 2 aerodromes, different from the aerodrome of departure, must be made. An applicant for the private pilot's license is required to pass theoretical knowledge examinations in 7 subjects. They are air law and operational procedures, human performance and limitations, navigation and radio aids, meteorology, aircraft general and principles of flight, flight performance and planning, joint airworthiness regulations, flight crew licensing communications, private pilot's license. A pass in these theoretical knowledge examinations will be awarded provided that they are passed within a period of 12 months. An applicant is required to pass the PPL-A skill test with the Civil Aviation Authority authorized examiner. Before attempting the skill test, all of the associated theoretical knowledge examinations must have been passed, and all of the required flying training must have been completed. The skill test must be taken within 6 months of completing the flight instruction, and must itself be completed within 6 months of commencement. The application for the grant of a Joint Aviation Regulations Flight Crew Licensing Private Pilot's License A must be made within 24 months of completing the theoretical knowledge examinations. A holder of a UK PPL-A is not required to hold either an IR or IMC rating. However, he will then be limited to VFR flight in the open FIR, a minimum flight visibility of 10 km if flying SVFR within regulated airspace, and he must remain within sight of the surface. Without an instrument rating, the holder may not act as pilot in command or co-pilot of any aircraft flying in accordance with IFR within Category A, B, or C airspace. Without an instrument rating or an IMC rating, the holder may not act as pilot in command or co-pilot of any aircraft flying in accordance with IFR within Category D or E airspace. The holder of a pilot license is not to act in any capacity as a pilot of an aircraft, except as a pilot undergoing skill testing or receiving flight instruction, unless he or she has a valid and appropriate class or type rating. If any such rating is limited to acting as a co-pilot only, or in accordance with any other limitation of the JAA, such limitations are to be recorded on the rating. JAR FCL-1 requires successful completion of a flying performance check and a written or oral examination. The ongoing validity of a type or class rating is dependent upon regular skill testing. The holder of an IMC rating may act as pilot in command of an aircraft that is flying SVFR within a control zone, provided the flight visibility is 3 kilometers or more, and may take off or land at any place provided that the visibility below cloud is not less than 1800 meters. The holder of an instrument rating may act as pilot in command or co-pilot of an aircraft flying in accordance with IFR within Category A, B, or C airspace. The holder of a night rating may act as pilot in command of an aircraft at night. Class ratings are established for single-pilot aircraft not requiring a type rating. These are all single-engine piston land aircraft, all single-engine piston seaplanes, all touring motor gliders, each manufacturer of single-engine turboprop land aircraft, each manufacturer of single-engine turboprop seaplanes, all multi-engine piston land aircraft, all multi-engine piston seaplanes. A JAA member state may, at any time in accordance with national procedures, act on appeals, limit privileges or suspend or revoke any license, rating, authorization, approval or certificate it is issued in accordance with the requirements of the JARFCL if it is established that an applicant or license holder has not met, or no longer meets, the requirements of JARFCL or relevant national law of the state of license issue. If this situation exists where a license has been issued by a non-JAA member state and validated by a JAA member state, then the member state is to report the situation to the state of license issue and the JAA, after which the license holder may not pilot an aircraft registered in that state or pilot any aircraft in that state's airspace. A license issued will be valid for a period of 5 years. Within this period, the license will be reissued by the authority after initial issue or renewal of a rating, when paragraph 12 in the license is completed and no further spaces remain, for any administrative reason, or at the discretion of the authority when a rating is revalidated. The validity of a license is determined by the validity of the ratings contained therein and the medical certificate. An instrument rating is valid for a period of 12 months. It may be renewed before the expiry of the period, but if the candidate fails the test, he or she may not fly in any capacity for which the rating is required until successfully passing a subsequent test. A type rating is valid for 1 year and remains valid subject to successful pilot proficiency checks. To revalidate, 1 check is required to be completed within 3 months of the expiry date of the current rating. A class rating for a single pilot, single engine class is valid for 2 years. All other class ratings are valid for 1 year. A flying instructor rating entitles the holder to instruct in flying aircraft in the type, group or class which is specified in that rating. An assistant flying instructor rating entitles the holder to instruct in flying aircraft of the types specified in the rating, provided that the instruction is given under the supervision of a holder of a flying instructor's rating who is present during the takeoff and landing at the airfield where the instruction is given. An assistant flying instructor may not give any direction or authorization to a student for the first solo or first cross-country flight.